Hi, this is Greg with Fulfill.com, and I'm here with Tyler Allgaier at Pitted Logistics. We're really excited to unpack your journey and understand what makes Pitted Logistics stand out, especially how you have a unique offering here with Pitted Labs and Pitted Logistics, and how they work together to fill those critical fulfillment headaches that most brands face with their 3PL. So, we've got a great list of questions for you to cover, and yeah, we're ready to jump in.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks, Greg.
All right, so tell me the story behind Pitted Logistics and what sparked the idea or led you to where you are today.
Yeah, so Pitted Logistics is actually the second company in the Pitted Companies family. I started the predecessor, Pitted Labs, which is an e-com marketing agency in 2016. Worked with a lot of brands, and oftentimes they're 3PLs doing anything from ad management to strategy to forecasting, inventory, demand planning, all those things. In some cases, I would fly to customers' warehouses, build SOPs, trying to fix broken fulfillment processes from the outside. COVID rolled around in 2020, and by 2021, it became super clear to myself and the folks on the Pitted team that these old school or legacy 3PLs couldn't really keep up with how quickly e-com moved, especially when these big macroeconomic things happen like COVID. So we, in very scrappy fashion, we built a hack job of a Google form, basically said to all of our clients and said, hey, call us crazy, but if we started a warehouse, would you use us? And enough people said yes, and bless their hearts. Here we are today, 4 or 5 years later, and we've got a fully fledged warehouse, and it's been quite the journey.
For sure. And yeah, COVID really did sort of open the landscape up to e-commerce businesses. And, there became a new methodology to logistics that catered to e-commerce. And it seems that's exactly where you guys found your footing. And so, in this competitive landscape now, what makes Pitted Logistics truly unique? And, what is that special sauce that you guys sort of bring to the table?
Yeah, I mean, we don't claim that packing boxes is unique because it really isn't. The difference is what surrounds it, the strategy, the speed, and the context that we bring to fulfillment, especially, like I mentioned, the Pitted Labs, the agency, the brain side, if you will, of the e-commerce space. Because we started on that side, we deeply understand what brands care about, the fulfillment, the growth, profitability, customer experience, ads, everything. It's not just what goes into a box and how it leaves the door, and ultimately how fulfillment enables or blocks those goals. In our opinion, a lot of 3PLs are just warehouses that pack boxes. When we started Pitted Logistics, we very much want to avoid the commodity side of things where it's just a race to the bottom in pricing. But we're more a partner that thinks like a brand. We're meeting weekly, monthly, quarterly, daily. We don't want to be the cheapest either. If we are the cheapest, we're misaligned with what our broader mission is.
So it's safe to say you guys sort of align with the whole brand's needs and not specifically just a warehousing or putting something in a box and getting it out the door,
Yeah,
which is amazing for e-commerce brands who need a whole stack of help as they're building out their brand and scaling as well.
absolutely.
I would love to hear you just describe your specific operational processes or the philosophy at your 3PL that clients find particularly valuable.
Yeah, we talked about it already, but it's that tight knit between Pitted Labs and Pitted Logistics. Very few fulfillment centers, or on the flip side, very few agencies or accelerators operate this dual engine model where we have both. Certainly at the size that we are and the brand sizes that we cater to. An example that we see is on Amazon. This is very nuanced, if you know lingo, but if you are looking at virtual bundle data on a Monday, we are then talking with our warehouse team on Tuesday to build physical bundles. By Wednesday and Thursday, they're kit, and then by Friday, they're on a truck to Amazon. That all back office type communication and analytics and execution is very rare for, like I said, fulfillment centers and agencies to do without having that in-house integration. And on top of that, we're in the brands meetings for marketing and ops and finance. We know when their margin is tanking, and we can very quickly say, hey, let's get a two-pack and let's get the AOV up while without really hurting your fulfillment fees. There's no AI or fancy robots yet, at least for us. It's just strategy, agility, and a truly deep understanding of how these brands work and what matters to them that help us succeed.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys can identify those opportunities and then, put them into a real world execution very quickly, which not only saves the brand's time, but also, planning resources and having two teams sort of connect and get things done in a fast manner. And what is the most common pain point you see with businesses struggling before they partner with a 3PL like yours?
Yeah, well, how do I say this? Our ICP, with a few exceptions, are not Fortune 500s, which typically means they're up and coming brands. They're on some kind of rocket ship of growth. And by doing so, and I say it's because we were one and still are to some degree, they Googled fulfillment center, they Google 3PL. We're not a fulfillment center, we're a fulfillment partner. And these brands don't know what to look for, didn't know what to look for. So their first go around, they just Google and then they find the biggest brands or fulfillment centers that have the biggest ad budgets for Google or just a really big name, and they just hope for the best. But what we found, and this is even before Pitted Logistics started, these massive incumbents move at B2B speeds. And where we focus on the e-commerce brand, that just doesn't cut it. And when something breaks, especially on Amazon, as if you know, it can take days or weeks or sometimes months to resolve, which is unacceptable for these brands. They are razor thin margins. Their cash collection is abysmal. So Amazon can be that lifeline, which keeps their lights on. So what these brands need is someone who jumps in with them on all these problems. We're not scared. We don't have a ticketing system either. You've got phone numbers, Slack integrations. You're not just number 213 in line on a support system.
So you're not employing robots at Pitted Logistics yet. You actually get to talk to a real human being, is sort of what you're saying here.
Yeah, myself included.
Awesome. And it's good to have a line all the way to the top for these brands that are growing and need the expertise of someone who has seen it all, especially in the logistics scene.
Absolutely.
And yeah, what would be one piece of advice that you'd give to an e-commerce brand currently evaluating 3PL partners?
Yeah, my biggest suggestion is don't go for cheapest. You get what you pay for. Not just us, but it's the fulfillment industry, especially ones that focus on e-com, are avoiding the commoditization of their services. So don't look for the cheapest. You're going to get what you pay for. And the second, I know you asked for one, I'm going to give you two, is look for a team that understands your business and not just the fulfillment side. The fulfillment speed and the on-time delivery rate and the order accuracy is the final part of the whole e-commerce experience, and a lot of fulfillment centers focus on just that piece. But what leads up to it is the planning, the inventory forecasting, the pack outs. How are we communicating that an order has shipped? The ad dollars that go into getting the customer to buy that thing that has ultimately shipped out. Find a partner that understands how all these different things work together, because they all need to be talking together. It's not just working in silos.
We've seen that at fulfill.com with a lot of successful brands who happen to go viral or a marketing effort that has just taken them to the next level, which is a good problem to have. But if your warehouse isn't aligned on your marketing initiatives or something of potentially going viral, then you're stuck in a pretty tough situation logistically.
Yeah.
What role does your team play in ensuring a great experience for your clients?
Yeah, our team is everything. There is not a day that I wake up that I'm not grateful for the blood, sweat, and tears that our team have put in, not just building what we have today, but making our customers happy. We've intentionally, up to this point, stayed away from robotics and shiny automation. It's not because we're anti-tech or anything, but we believe that people, specifically smart, empowered ones, can make or break the client experience. OpenAI is incredible. I use it all the time, but until OpenAI and ChatGPT can sit in all of my meetings for me and give the kind of strategy that myself and my team give to our customers, our team is everything. Another way to put it, our AI is Aaron, who is there in the warehouse packing boxes, or Pat, who you can call on a cell phone, sometimes begrudgingly to him, but he knows it's his job when things break and there's a resolution. Or even myself in some instances. I live 10 minutes from the warehouse, and if something breaks Thursday at 6 p.m., and you need something fixed for Friday morning, give me a call. We'll rally the troops and we'll move the mountains for you.
Right. And these types of warehouse associates probably have a deep understanding of every brand's needs as well, where you're not just getting a random employee from time to time. You're getting someone who deeply understands your brand and can action things quickly, which I think is something that's much needed in the warehousing and 3PL industry.
Yep.
Where do you see Pitted Logistics evolving in the next 3 to 5 years? As you know, we all know we're in a logistical landscape right now where things are constantly changing. It seems day by day, hour by hour, things change. So where do you see yourself evolving to over the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, certainly doubling down on the Pitted Labs and Pitted Logistics value proposition, giving brands a smarter, more connected alternative to, I won't say names, but the ships, or the ship blanks, which there are seemingly dozens of, or large marketplace accelerators who have typically done this, but in a slow iceberg movement level fashion. We're also expanding our footprint in the US, not just in Salt Lake City where we currently have a location. In short, if you want to be a big fish in somebody's pond, work with us. And we're constantly evolving how we work, our training, our processes, our software, our equipment, everything in between to serve our brands. We are unique in the sense that we don't have external shareholders. We don't have debt. We don't have anybody's best interest at mind except for our customers. They are the reason that we exist today. They're the reason that we stay in business. And I find that's incredibly unique for us. And we plan on staying that way for as long as we exist.
Yeah, that's great. It seems like you guys have a unique personal touch over there at Petty Logistics. And, to that point, I'd love for you to just walk us through a success story on how you helped a client maybe overcome a major fulfillment challenge or achieve some sort of growth.
Yeah, I'll give you two for the price of one. The first one is Lume deodorant. Funnily enough, they were actually our very first customer for Pitted Logistics back in 2021. At the time, we were managing their Amazon channel, doing everything that Pitted Labs does when their previous 3PL couldn't keep up, especially with some of the kitting needs. And that hurt our job on the agency side. At the time, bless his heart, took a gamble on us, sent us 6 pallets to what was at the time basically a glorified storage unit. We are out of it, so you can put those concerns aside. But what we did is me and a few folks on the team, we went there after hours in the summer, shirts off, sweating bullets, heavy metal on the Bluetooth speaker, kitting as fast as we possibly could for them. And it turned out really well. So we got more and more and more work. And within about 12 months, we were managing their entire Amazon program, shipping hundreds of thousands of units a month, multiple trucks a week. So that was a really fun experience for us. Another more recent one is a well-known electronics company. I'll keep them anonymous for the time being. But effectively, just before Christmas, I think like the 20th or 21st of December, their SVP of operations called me and said, Tyler, we have a super critical shipment stuck in customs in California. Like, can you help us figure this out? Because we need to get these to our customers by Christmas Eve. Sort of tongue-in-cheek, sort of serious. I offered to rent a U-Haul and drive down there to get it. Ultimately didn't need to do that. But long story short, the shipment delivered to our dock around 10, 11 p.m. the day before Christmas Eve. We had staffed our team to be there ready to receive it. So as soon as that shipment came in, our team worked overnight into the day before Christmas Eve for 18 hours straight, receiving, packing, and shipping every single order. And every single one of those made to the Christmas tree by Christmas Eve. So we're super proud of both those examples of what Pitted Logistics can do for our brands.
That's awesome. And yeah, the Christmas time of the year, it's you're operating on behalf of your brands, but ultimately it's to get Christmas presents under trees for people.
That's
You're Santa Claus right here. You got to make it work. How do you help your clients adapt to things like you just said, peak season surges, unexpected disruptions? We live in a viral culture nowadays that can be disruptive to a brand and logistics. So how do you help your clients adapt to those scenarios?
Yeah, for better or worse, between both pitted companies, we live in the two sides of the business that are not typically both winning. We are involved heavily in the marketing side, which is what the agency side does at Pitted Labs. And then we're also involved in the operations side of Pitted Logistics. So typically, if marketing is winning in a brand, they have not enough inventory and backlog of orders, and then the operations side is frustrated. But if you flip the coin, marketing is losing because the operations side, they have too much inventory, too many days of inventory on hand. And so lucky for us, we get to straddle both sides. So we are constantly winning and losing. But, that's our cross to bear. But for peak season surges, anything like that, like we live in as many parts of the business as we possibly can with our brands. Like I said, we want to be in the finance calls. We want to be in the marketing calls, in some situations drive those. We anticipate these things just as fast as the brands do because we are in the discussion and planning meetings. And sometimes we tell them to expect these things before they're even aware of it. So there's no need to file tickets or send crazy advance notice of anything because we're in the meetings and we have our own back channel communications across teams. So that's, I mean, I could talk about staffing with 24 hours notice and things like that, but that's not unique. What I just explained is unique to Pitted.
True. And I think just what you're saying here is you are a true end-to-end partner, and a lot of these things can be mitigated with enough planning and enough relationship building to where you understand how this business is going to operate through these certain time periods or marketing efforts.
Yeah.
So it's great to see that brands can just rely on you and probably sleep better at night knowing they have someone that is looking out for them. Just to sort of wrap things up here, who is your ideal client and what specific types of businesses or challenges do you really excel at handling?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think more about the qualitative factors of brands that we want to work with. These are brands that are aspirational, founder-led, collaborative. I know that's not necessarily unique to us, but the reason I say that is because we want to have direct access to the executives, the founder team, and or decision makers. Because of how deeply ingrained we are with these brands, it hurts our ability to be successful and ultimately successful for our customers if we have to go through multiple layers of decision making and red tape. Think more typical Fortune 100s. It's cool and exciting to be able to possibly ship hundreds of thousands of units a month, but that's not where we operate best. We can move mountains when we have direct access and trust built with the decision makers of brands. And we like brands who care about customer experience because ultimately that pushes us on the fulfillment center side. Like I mentioned, we don't have these external shareholders that we're trying to make happy with EBITDA or profit margins or things like that. The customer experience care and what the brands care about for themselves and what pushes us to innovate and that treat us as a strategic lever and not just some cost center commodity.
Well, thanks for the time today, Tyler. I'll make sure that this video has links to contact you if you feel like you would be a good fit at Pitted Logistics and find a true logistics partner. So thanks again for the time, Tyler.
Of course. Thanks, Greg.